Mr. Chairman, we're live.
Great. Thank you very much. Jerry, can you see me?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, good. All right. Good morning to all attending the RTA's virtual meeting of the Board of Directors. The Governor's emergency declaration remains in force during the current COVID-19 pandemic, and pursuant to his executive orders declaring a public health emergency and recent amendments to the Open Meetings Act, we continue to operate under the permission to conduct our meeting without physical attendance requirements. As the head of the public body, I find it's not prudent or practical to hold an in-person meeting or have staff or any member of the board at our headquarters during this meeting. Now, let's review the guidelines for the meeting. Keep your audio on mute as much as possible to minimize background noise, which will impair recording. When you have a question or comment, please raise your virtual hand. You've gotten good at that, and the board secretary will call on board members who have raised their hands one at a time. When he calls on you, lower your hand and unmute before you begin speaking. When we get to the voting, please raise your hand to make a motion or a second. The board secretary, Mr. LaMarche, will identify who is making the motion and the second for the record. After he announces the motion and second, lower your hand, please. Any questions at this time? With that said, I will now officially call the meeting of the Board of Directors of the Regional Transportation Authority to order. And you can remain you're on mute, and I will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Always pertinent to do that, although we missed Flag Day by 2 days. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Yes. Director Indelcio.
Here.
Director Canty.
Here.
Director Carey.
Here.
Director Colson.
Here.
Director Fuentes.
Here.
Director Gavin.
Here.
Director Gorman.
Here.
Director Groven.
Here.
Director Holt.
Here.
Director Cotel.
Here.
Director Lewis.
Here.
Director Melvin. Director Pang. Director Ross.
Here.
Director Sager.
Here.
Chairman Dillard.
Present.
14 present, 2 absent, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and thank you all for your normal great attendance. Item 3 is the approval of the minutes from the board meeting held on May 19th of 2022. Any questions or comments or corrections?
Mr. Chairman, I see no raised hands.
Then I'll ask for a motion in a second, please.
It's a motion by Director Sager and a second by Director Indelcio.
Thank you. And with that, Jeremy, please take a roll call.
Director Indelcio.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Aye.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Gavin.
Aye.
Director Gorman.
Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Aye.
Director Cotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Yes.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Yes.
14 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And the minutes are approved from the May meeting. Item 4 is a public comment section for today's meeting. We've asked the public to submit their comments via electronic email. Any comments received, Mr. Secretary?
No, Mr. Chairman, we've received no comments.
All right, then we'll move on to item 5, which is Executive Director Leanne Redden's report. Good morning, Leanne.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Great to see everyone today. I want to begin my report by commending staff and the leadership of Metra, PACE and CTA for their important progress on offering regional riders new and more affordable options to get around the region on the new Regional Connect Pass. The pass, when coupled with Metra's new Super Saver $100 monthly pass being piloted this July through September, gives Chicago area residents unlimited rides across all three systems at a reduced cost and with greater flexibility. The Regional Connect Pass will cost $30 and will be sold to holders of an unlimited ride Metra monthly pass, and together they provide unlimited rides for a month on CTA and PACE with no day or time restrictions. So I really believe that these changes will spur those looking for more affordable travel options to consider using transit. Be sure to also check out our blog and Connections blog, the Regional Transportation Update newsletter for that that's going out tomorrow, and the our website of the service boards for more information. And my screen is not cooperating with me today, so hang on. There we go. So I'm encouraged to see that this level of collaboration and cooperation, and really am eager to continue to work together with the service boards to a more safe, reliable, accessible transit system that connects more people to opportunity and advances equity and combats climate change as we go forward. I also want to share that in late May, I attend the Women's Transportation Seminar, or as it's known as WTS. I attended their international annual conference in Seattle and was honored to be elected secretary, to serve as secretary on the International Board of Directors for a 2-year term. The conference also provided a great opportunity to connect in person with many leaders from across the country, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve this organization in this new capacity. So next slide, please. Moving on to government affairs update. Recently, Governor Pritzker signed into law Senate Bill 3848, a bill we had previously discussed with you at our March meeting. The legislation, sponsored by Senate Transportation Chairman Ram Villavalam and Representative Evadina Delgado, requires that CMAP and the MPO Policy Committee, in coordination with the RTA, develop a list of legislative recommendations around transit funding that will really help ensure the long-term viability of our transit system. The legislation calls for CMAP and the RTA to consider the vision, principles, and recommendations that result from the RTA's current strategic planning process in a report back to the that will be due to the Governor and the General Assembly in January 2024. So this report, while separate, really would be in addition to, but really a continuation of the regional transit strategic planning work that we are currently developing, and would be due after the strategic plan is considered by you for adoption in early 2023. The purpose of the legislation is to provide funding and policy recommendations that will allow transit agencies to continue to provide essential service after the region's federal COVID relief funding packages run out. The bill also requires that the report include recommendations on how the RTA, CTA, Metra, and PACE can better address racial equity, climate change, and economic development. The RTA and CMAP have been working in coordination throughout the RTA strategic planning work and will continue to stay coordinated as we move into this next phase of the planning process. So next slide, please. I had hoped, I hope that perhaps a few of you may have had a chance to attend our Transportation Tuesday panel discussions this month. At the panel earlier this week, we heard about how work on interagency signage has made travel more seamless in Aurora. And the week before, we had about 70 people join us for a panel discussing how we can use development around stations and stops to better serve the needs of residents and communities that most depend on transit. 2 more webinars remain in this series, with the next one on Tuesday, June 21st, discussing extremely pressing issue of how communities are handling the many demands on their curb space to maximize safety and access. Tuesday, the 28th of June, the series will conclude with a panel showing viewers how to make data-based decisions using the rich information available on both RTA's RTAM site as well as CMAP's data planning hub. So hopefully you could join us for one of those. These panel discussions take place from 1 till 2:30 p.m. each Tuesday and are free to anyone who would like to join, but registration is required. And you can learn more about this on our website, in our regional transit update newsletter, or in our connections blog, which will all include links to videos to any of the webinars that you may have also missed. So I want to take a moment also just to recognize the excellent work that our staff has done with these series, and thank the many guests from across the region who have come together and shared their stories with us as part of this effort. So next slide, please. In addition to this month's financial report and an update on the progress of the strategic plan in today's meeting, we'll also include an informational presentation of the most current project management oversight report, or the PMO report. Between this and the presentation, you will see we'll be asking for your approval to amend the current capital program. You will hear also several examples of how capital dollars are being spent and programmed to advance key regional priorities. Other items that will require your vote today include approving the combining financial report as well as the annual comprehensive financial report. We'll ask for contract approvals for print services and for an energy management and data hosting services. As I wrap up right now, our current plan, though, is to not hold a July board meeting and return to regular board meetings in August, with a report out on the financial products of the strategic plan working groups and progress towards the draft plan. We will, of course, though, keep you updated and keep you in the loop should a need for a meeting arise for a July meeting. But with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Leanne, and congratulations. We are very lucky to, number one, have you, but to also internationally have you as a leader and a representative of mass transit in Chicagoland. So that is a great appointment. It's a tribute to you, and we are well benefited. And we are a worldwide leader in transit to have you serve on that. And again, I just want to echo Leanne's thanks to our staff and to the public and those who have an interest in transit for the Transportation Tuesday series. When 70 people get together on a Tuesday afternoon in the summertime to communicate and share ideas on how to improve transit for our riders in the region, that is an excellent thing. And these Transportation Tuesday series are just proof that, number one, we're transparent, but number two, we take input from so many of the region's leaders and different groups that are out there. So well done. Thank you very much, Leanne, and thank you to the staff.
Thank you.
6A is a presentation of the
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Well, this is Director Lewis. I have a question. I'm sorry, I can't raise my hand. May I raise a question with Leanne? Leanne, on the multi-agency transportation program, was that something that came out of the discussion groups? Or was that something that had separate momentum in terms of being able to have, in effect, a step towards a universal fare card?
I would probably say sort of both. I mean, it is a conversation that's ongoing as part of the strategic planning work about what our priorities are going to be for the future. But Director Lewis, you're correct. It really has grown out of the work that's been happening already around trying to find additional pass options and potentially cheaper options for all 3 service boards. So while this isn't actually, one universal card, it is some steps in the right direction. So that was, so we're happy to see that progress, that the 3 operators are continuing to work towards that ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think it's very encouraging. I think that, it's something that will be very important in terms of increasing public transportation. There was an article that came out not too long ago in one of the local newspapers about the benefit from that. So I'm encouraged to see it and just want to commend the staff and the team for that good effort. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Lewis. Excellent question and comment. Anyone else? I always somehow I didn't do it today. Any questions or comments for Leanne from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I see no additional hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. So now let's move on to 6A, which is a presentation of the semi-annual project management oversight report. And I believe, Violet, this one is yours to present, is it not?
Yes, it is. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board
Good
members.
morning.
My name is Violet Gunka, and I'm the Division Manager for Project Management Oversight and Compliance. Today, I will present the current report on project management oversight. Next slide, please. RTA implements the PMO program pursuant to Section 2.01B of the RTA Act. RTA is required to oversee the Service Board's capital programs and expenditures. PMO is part of RTA's fulfillment of this requirement. The focus of the PMO program is implementation, delivery, and completion of active projects. It includes oversight of all state-funded transit projects regardless of budget, and all other projects with budgets of $10 million or more regardless of funding source. The PMO program supports the RTA's Invest in Transit strategic plan as we focus on ensuring that we are efficient stewards of the capital funding. Through this program, we work with RTA capital team and the service boards to ensure that capital funding is spent efficiently and effectively. The projects presented in the PMO report show how we deliver value on our investments, build upon the strong transit network that we have, and help us stay competitive. RTA and the service boards have been working on improving the transparency of the capital program. The information in the semi-annual report provides details on current projects in the region. The report was provided to you with the board materials, and it will be published on the RTA website following the board meeting. Also, updated PMO information is available on the RTA's Mapping and Statistics website, referred to as RTAMS. Next slide, please. The majority of the current state projects are funded by the $2.6 billion Rebuild Illinois State Bond Program and by the $227 million of ongoing annual gas tax revenue available for capital projects, referred to as PAYGO. At this time, we have many state-funded projects starting up, so we would like to provide some background on the PMO process. First, the service boards complete and submit the grant applications for the Rebuild Illinois and PAYGO funding that are reviewed and approved by the RTA and IDOT. After the grant funds are awarded, the service boards finish up their project planning and complete the procurement process for the project. Once the procurement process is completed at the service board level, the RTA concurs on the procurements and a notice to proceed is issued. The RTA PMO process starts once there is an executed agreement with the contractor and project scope activities have commenced. From this point, the PMO considers the project to be active. The PMO team monitors the scope, schedule, and budget against the baseline approved in the executed contract documents. All active PMO projects are included in the PMO report. A project exits the PMO process once it reaches substantial completion. After substantial completion, there are still closeout administrative activities and final invoices that are reviewed and approved by the RTA capital team. However, the scope has been completed and the project is no longer included in the PMO report. At this time, there are many more Rebuild Illinois and PAYGO projects in the procurement process at the service boards, but they are not yet included in this PMO report. To summarize, RTA PMO projects are a subset of the capital program, and the PMO report provides a snapshot in time of the currently active PMO projects. Next slide, please. This PMO report includes 72 active projects that have over $2.3 billion in state funding. There are 12 new Rebuild Illinois projects that entered the PMO process and three new PAYGO projects which are included in this report for the first time. The report also includes 4 state-funded projects that are funded with prior year's programs, as the service boards are still wrapping up some older projects and using up any remaining funds. The 68 current projects with budgets of 10 million or more represented in this report show an investment of over 7.3 billion into our system. This funding includes what's already been expanded and what is obligated for these projects. Some of them span over multiple years. The number of PMO projects that are 10 million or more increased by 9 from the last reporting period. Next slide, please. To date, 2.6 billion in Rebuild Illinois funding has been awarded to the service boards for 76 projects approved in the grant applications. As of May, over 216 million or 8.3% of the Rebuild Illinois funding has been expanded. This PMO report includes 42 active Rebuild Illinois projects. 4 of them have been completed to date, and 30 are in the planning and procurement stage at the service boards. Similarly, 454 million of PAYGO funding has been awarded for a total of 34 projects approved in the grant applications. At this time, over 275 million or 60.6% of total PAYGO funding has been expanded. This PMO report includes 22 active PAYGO projects. To date, 8 of them have been completed and funding has been spent down. The remaining 4 are in the planning and procurement stage at the service boards. As mentioned previously, many of the Rebuild Illinois and PAYGO projects are just starting up and entering the PMO process. The majority of the new ones have no or very low expenditures as project milestones have not been met yet. However, spending is trending upwards. Next slide, please. We briefly touched on the state-funded project budgets on the last slide. All of them are on budget. With respect to scope, there were 3 change orders executed in this reporting period, and 89% of projects are without change orders. The majority of the projects are in the beginning stages, so there are not a lot of change orders at this time. All change order justifications were reviewed and concurred on by the RTA. Next slide, please. To increase transparency on timelines for project implementation, 2 types of schedules are tracked in this PMO report. The original project schedule is submitted by the service boards with the grant application, and it includes internal service board activities such as final planning, the procurement of a contractor for the project, as well as actual project implementation. This schedule provides a general projection when the project will be completed, and it tracks the project all the way through closeout. The project implementation schedule starts once the notice to proceed has been issued to the contractor, and it tracks how the contractor is performing against the schedule included in the executed contract documents. This schedule applies to the design and/or construction phases of the project, as well as the purchasing contracts or rehabilitation of vehicles for rolling stock projects. This schedule can be changed if there are unforeseen conditions or scope changes. The schedule revisions are approved by the service boards, and once approved, the project implementation is tracked against the revised schedule. The PMO team tracks the project under this schedule through substantial completion. When we look at the project schedule performance with respect to the original project schedule submitted with the grant application, as shown on the pie chart on the left side of the slide, we can see that 46% of projects are behind schedule. This means that the final planning activities, procurements, and project implementation are taking longer than the service boards anticipated when the grant applications were submitted. On the pie chart shown on the right side of the slide, we can see that 25% of projects are behind their implementation schedule, which means that the contractor has encountered delays during project execution. In summary, we can see that there are more projects behind when we look at the original schedule due to greater uncertainty regarding project activities at the time of grant application. Once the projects move into project implementation phase, the contractor is held accountable, the project activities are fully defined, and schedules are adhered to on most projects. Next slide, please. In the PMO report, we break down the projects into 3 categories, which include construction, maintenance and rehabilitation, and procurements. On this slide, you can see the graphical representation of the projects in these categories at each of the service boards. Construction includes all projects related to design, or improvements to stations, bridges, and other transit facilities. The maintenance and rehabilitation includes projects like track, signal, and substation upgrades and improvements, as well as rehabilitation of rolling stock. The last category includes procurement of rolling stock like rail cars or buses, technology like cameras and parts or materials. Next slide, please. On this slide, we wanted to highlight some of the Rebuild Illinois projects. CTA is in the process of rehabilitating the 5000 series rail cars. This project is for the quarter life overhaul, which is completed at approximately 6 to 7 year intervals. Scheduled maintenance includes major component rebuilds and needed repairs to the car bodies. As of the end of May, 112 cars have been completed through the overhaul process. Metra recently kicked off the 147th Street Sibley Station project on the Metra Electric District line. As part of this rehabilitation, the station will be made 100% ADA accessible. The scope of work includes a new station entrance, an accessible path, construction of a new elevator, platform reconstruction with a new canopy, platform lighting, head house replacement, kiss and ride area, and parking rehabilitation. A groundbreaking event took place in May 2022. The contractor has mobilized equipment and trailers on the job site and have begun preliminary work on the access ramp, temporary fences, and project signage. PACE is nearing completion of a new bus turnaround facility that will serve 9 PACE routes connecting with the updated transportation center in downtown Joliet. PACE entered into an IGA with the city of Joliet for this project. The bus depot and the pedestrian tunnel are completed. Punch list items and landscaping will be completed by the end of this month. Next slide, please. On this slide, we wanted to highlight state-funded projects that were completed in this reporting period. Metra and the Village of Clarendon Hills completed the redevelopment of the station on the Metra's BNSF line. The station improvements include new platform canopies, enclosed shelters, benches, and covered bike parking. The parking lot improvements include kiss and ride areas on both sides of the tracks. Landscaping improvements were also completed. Metra also completed the replacement of the Seeger interlocking on Metra's UP Northwest line. This replacement allows for increased train speeds and upgrades to switch layouts to meet current railroad design specifications. Next slide, please. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Violet. Any questions of Violet?
One moment, Mr. Chairman. There are no hands raised at the moment, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you, Violet. Thank you very much. I was at the Sibley groundbreaking with the governor, which was nice, and I believe the U.S. Secretary was in Joliet, and I see the Clarendon Hills Station every day. So projects are moving forward, very valuable projects to our systems. So that's a good thing. Item 6B is an update on the strategic plan, including the work of the shareholder or stakeholder and technical working groups. And I believe Jessica Hector Sue and the staff will be presenting an update.
Yes, I will. Good morning, Chairman and board members. I'm here again to give you an update on our strategic plan process. So recall that we're developing the plan in several tracks over the next year. We are now right in the middle of this graphic, developing the actual content of the plan. For both the strategic planning work and the financial planning work, we've established working groups to actually develop content. Since the discussion at our last meeting, both the stakeholder groups and the technical groups have continued their work. The stakeholder groups will wrap up this month, and the technical groups will continue over the summer. This summer, we'll also be asking for more public input, and we'll be working on a draft for this fall. So on the next slide, recall that we have a vision for the plan. Next slide. That is safe, reliable, accessible public transportation that connects people to opportunity, advances equity, and combats climate change. And on the next slide, recall that we have also developed 3 principles that are guiding our work: equity, stewardship, and committed to change. In April, we shared with you the principle definitions that we've developed, and the stakeholder and technical groups are now using these principles as they complete their work. On the next slide, recall that we have also developed 6 future outcomes that we are envisioning through the plan. 3 of the outcomes relate to the transit system that we want to have, and 3 relate to the type of region that we want to live in. And on the next slide, recall that we've convened, as I just mentioned, 3 stakeholder groups and 2 technical groups to work on the content. We have over 100 people involved in these groups, some of you, and many staff from the RTA and the service boards. Today, I have with me several staff who are leading these groups, and in a moment, I will turn it over to them to give you a brief update on each of the groups and what they've been doing. After short updates from 4 of them, the lead of the 10-year financial plan group, Doug Anderson, is going to give you a bit of a longer update on what the work that they've been doing, and then Doug will hand it back to me to close it out. One last thing before I hand it over to some of our other staff, I want to remind you about the process for the stakeholder working groups. These are the external facing groups. They are participating in 6 meetings total. This week, we are holding meeting 5 for each of the groups, where we're refining our strategies. The groups will have their last meeting in 2 weeks. When they're finished, they will summarize their work in memos for us that include recommendations to us about what we should include in the plan. And then the next step will be to gather some additional public input over the summer. I'll share more about that at the end of the presentation, but this is some important context for you as you hear updates now from all of our group leads. So I'll pause there for a minute to answer any questions about our overall process before I hand it over to Melissa to get us started on the group updates. Any questions from anybody?
Any questions?
No raised hands.
Raise hands. Okay, great. I'm going to hand it off now to our first staff member, Melissa, to talk us through her group. Go ahead, Melissa.
Hello, board members. Thank you for having me. I'm Melissa Meyer, a communications manager at the RTA. I am facilitating the transit service stakeholder group along with my coworker, Kevin Stansel. This group includes 30 members from 20 different organizations. We have advocates and people from the nonprofit community, as well as service board members, transit riders, and even the head of the Transit Operators Union. So we have a lot of good different voices in the mix there. This group is focusing on the quality of transit service and the rider experience and how the related implications of that can be used to make sure the transit system is a tool to impact regional climate change. Next slide. So in the transit service group, we are discussing goals and strategies that are related to increasing the quality of passenger information, improving service coordination, simplifying fare payments, improving reliability of transit, reducing emissions, and increasing safety. One thing that I've learned from this group is how passionate people are about having high quality transit service. A lot of the topics that we're discussing in this group are related to the everyday experience of riding transit, from how safe and well lit the stations are to how frequent and reliable service is and how to pay for it and how to encourage more people to choose transit, which will get us closer to our shared goals of winning the fight against climate change. It was fairly easy to agree on goals in this group because having a seamless, high-quality transit experience is something we can all agree on. The past few weeks, we've been having a lot of really interesting discussions about how to get there and what strategies will ensure that we have great transit service across such a large and diverse region. And we've heard a lot of really great ideas for RTA, the service boards, and other partners to pursue. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this group before I hand it off to my colleague, Heather.
One moment. There are no raised hands at the moment.
Okay, Heather, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Melissa. Hello, my name is Heather Mullins. I'm the division manager for the Local Planning and Program Management Group, and I am facilitating the Infrastructure Investment Group along with Peter Fahrenwald. This group includes 35 members from 29 different organizations, and we are focusing on infrastructure investments needed on the transit system and investment in communities around stations and stops to make transit more accessible and appealing. Next slide. So we're discussing goals and strategies related to diversifying capital funding sources, prioritizing high-need communities and capital work, increasing community engagement in projects, and reducing first and last mile barriers to transit, as well as supporting communities that are pursuing equitable transit-oriented development. So one thing I've learned through this group is the importance of community engagement and communication at all levels of project development and implementation. This group really understands the benefits of soliciting feedback from the public and making sure that we are pursuing projects that the public also supports and had an opportunity to provide their opinion on. This came up repeatedly in our group discussions. I'd be happy to answer any questions before I hand things off to Peter Kirsten.
I see no raised hands at the moment.
Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Thanks, Heather. Hello again, I'm Peter Kirsten, Principal Planner with the Strategic Planning Group. I'm also the project manager for the overall strategic plan effort and coordinate the considerable consultant support that we have on this project. Additionally, I am facilitating the financial responsibility working group along with Bill Lockman, the RTA treasurer. So this group includes a variety of stakeholders from the service boards and CMAP, including both planning and financial staff. We have representatives from the counties, advocates, and academics, and just generally, it's a group that people that are passionate about transit and our region. So we're focusing on setting goals and strategies that will guide the RTA and service boards in finding a sustainable funding structure so as to maintain and build upon our transit network that connects people to opportunity. Next slide. So we're discussing goals and strategies related to planning for cost growth, communicating the value of transit, identifying new potential funding sources, improving responsiveness to new demands for mobility, and increasing access to opportunities via transit. One thing that I've learned through this group is that the regional transit system needs to take a more holistic view of the value that the system brings to the region, particularly when we're talking about things like ridership. Getting more people on transit means less congestion on our roads, more opportunities for people to access jobs, healthcare, education, and recreation. Getting more people on transit is a tool for climate action by reducing the externalities of other modes, specifically greenhouse gases produced by automobiles. I'd be happy to answer any questions from board members before I hand it off to Brian to talk about the first of the technical groups.
I see no raised hands at the moment.
Over to you, Brian.
Thanks, Peter. Hello, I'm Brian Lowenberg, Principal Analyst in the Capital Programming Group, and I'm facilitating the Priority Projects Technical Group along with Peter Farrenwall. Our group is focusing on updating the capital priority projects list that were first included in the strategic plan, Invest in Transit. The group includes CTA, Metra, and PACE staff, as well as members from RTA, CMAP, and the consulting team. RTA is including this update to the 10-year priorities project list as part of the strategic planning process. In Invest in Transit, we were successful in producing a set of priority projects and have continued to update the list annually during the budget season. We've made refinements to better account for changes on an annual basis, and having this set of priorities was very helpful in advocating for additional funding, including the Rebuild Illinois program, which included the state bonds, as well as the motor fuel tax or PAYGO funds. And most recently, the new federal transportation authorization bill, which provides the region with an almost 40% increase in federal formula funds and a number of new discretionary opportunities. We want to continue to build on the priority project list as a strong tool that we can collectively use in addressing the needs of our region. And to that end, we're looking to undertake a process that will continue to build upon that list to better communicate the needs of the region in a consistent and transparent way. The process includes creating a set of guidelines that will be shared in the new strategic plan that will guide the updates to the list in the future. Then the priority project list will be updated annually, starting with the 2024 budget that's put together in 2023. We've outlined some principles for the process. First, the priority project list should better connect to regional planning processes and should show which projects are in the queue for service boards to advance when funding is available. Secondly, the priority project list should incorporate the transparent prioritization process and criteria required by state legislation. And lastly, the priority project list should incorporate the recommended goals, strategies, and performance measures developed by the stakeholder working groups, and then apply them to capital project selection and advancement. We've set out a plan that looks to discuss which types of projects are presented in the list of priority projects and how we can better show the order that the projects will be advancing in the region. We have completed 3 of our meetings and are currently discussing methods for evaluating projects. During the meetings, we continue to learn more about the important capital work that the service boards continue to do and use that to guide us in how to develop the updated list as we proceed. I'm happy to answer any questions about our group before handing it off to Doug Anderson.
One moment. I see no raised hands at the moment.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'll pass it over to Doug.
And next slide, please. Good morning, members of the board. This is Doug Anderson, Manager of Budgets and Analysis here at the RTA. I'm facilitating the 10-year financial plan working group, one of the technical groups of the strategic plan. As Jessica mentioned, I'm going to be giving you a bit of a longer update today based on progress that our group has made over the last few weeks. Our technical group is smaller than the stakeholder groups with 17 official members from the RTA, service board staffs, and CMAP. The group is tasked with the goals shown on this slide. How long should the federal relief funding last, and what is the expected magnitude of the budget shortfall when it is gone? We spent our first couple of meetings establishing that shortfall or gap, and we'll share that with you today. Since the service boards have been leaning heavily on federal relief funding to maintain budget balance at a rate of about $600 million per year, it should not surprise anyone too much that we have a large budget shortfall coming when the relief funding is gone. The balance of the 10-year group's meetings in June, July, and August will focus on funding solutions for resolving the budget gap we foresee, and for making a recommendation on modifying the current 50% recovery ratio requirement as we emerge from the pandemic with a fundamentally different revenue structure. Next slide, please. As a quick review, remember that funding for transit in our region comes from 2 main sources, which in the decade of the 20-teens were largely sufficient to balance our operating expense. The first is public funding, which is primarily the RTA sales tax, as well as the state public transportation fund and some other state and local sources. Overall, sales tax has performed much better than expected during the pandemic and is in fact currently well above pre-pandemic levels. The second source is operating revenue, which is primarily the fares paid by riders on the system. Prior to the pandemic, system fare revenue exceeded $1 billion per year. In 2021, it was less than $400 million, a reduction of $600 million from pre-COVID levels. Thankfully, federal relief funding has been provided to essentially replace that large fare revenue loss. Next slide, please. Just to reinforce how severe the COVID-related ridership loss has been, this chart shows the percent change in weekly ridership compared to the first week of March 2020. In the early part of the pandemic, ridership fell by more than 70%, but by late 2021, it slowly climbed back to about 50% of pre-COVID levels. On the right side of the chart, you can see that ridership experienced a setback in early 2022 due to both a typical winter season drop-off and the Omicron COVID variant. CTA, Metra, and Pace are now consistently serving 900,000 trips on a typical weekday in 2022. But ridership remains at about 50% of 2019 levels. And it is this slow recovery of ridership and fare revenue which has created ongoing operating budget shortfalls, not just in our region, but throughout the other transit systems of the country and indeed the world. Next slide. In the meantime, the costs of operating our system have increased. Numbers on this slide are in the millions, so you need to mentally add 6 zeros. In the last full year before COVID, on the far left, we had almost exactly $3 billion of annual operating expenses. Expenses did decline in 2020 with COVID-related service reductions at Metra and Pace, but then rebounded in 2021 with service restorations and the onset of inflation. Our adopted 2022 budget of about $3.4 billion anchors the 10-year period we are modeling, shown in the lighter blue. After discussions with the Service Board finance teams, we believe the regional expense projection on this slide is realistic. It reflects essentially status quo service levels rather than any service expansions. The assumed expense growth of 3.9% per year is higher than we experienced over the previous decade. In the near term, inflation is certainly going to be a challenge. A couple of interesting observations about the regional expense budget. Labor is the dominant expense category, comprising about 70% of 2022 expenses. Attracting and retaining talent, which I think everyone realizes is a serious ongoing problem for the transit industry, and most other industries for that matter, requires competitive compensation and benefits. That may be the simplest way to think about why the expense profile is expected to look like this. In contrast, fuel and power comprise only about 4% of the annual operating budget. Certainly doesn't help that fuel prices are up right now, but the big expense driver is labor costs. This expense projection forms the basis for what we are calling the baseline scenario. Our best guess at what the region's operating budget will look like if we just sort of continue on our current trajectory. The 2026 expense level of just over $3.9 billion is highlighted because we are using that year as a representative snapshot of the future annual budget. More on that in a moment. Expenses are projected to end the 10-year period at around $4.7 billion. Incidentally, the model we are using to hold our projections is very much at the service board level, but the analysis focuses on regional totals. Next slide, please. On top of that expense profile, we also, discussed and debated revenue and funding assumptions with the Service Board finance and planning teams to round out the baseline scenario. We anticipate that ridership will recover more slowly than we would all like and will not regain pre-COVID levels during this 10-year planning horizon. Within the model, we fully fund the projected ADA paratransit operating budget as required by the RTA Act and utilize only existing operating funding sources and agreements, namely RTA sales tax, real estate transfer tax, state PTF, and other current state funding sources. Recent sales tax results have been very strong, growing by almost 30% in 2021 as the RTA sales tax was extended to more online transactions. That could not have come at a better time, and future shortfalls would be worse without that positive change. Under those revenue and expense assumptions, the RTA and service boards expect existing federal relief funding to exhaust in 2025. Accordingly, we have focused on 2026 to define the future operating budget shortfall we are up against. So why use 2026? We think it's important to focus on a single year to simplify communication, and 2026 is expected to be the first full year without federal relief funding, although 2025 does have some smaller shortfalls. 2026 is also midway through the 10-year plan period, so there's less error because of that. The further out you look, the more error is introduced in the model. And it's also far enough in the future to allow time for legislative action we may need to address the shortfall. Next slide. Now for the important part. Excuse me. Under the assumptions we have collectively made in the 10-year model, the region can expect a budget shortfall of more than $700 million by 2026, as shown in the right-hand column. We expect ridership to be close to 70% of pre-COVID levels at that time, and the combination of the resulting fare revenue and sales tax funding will simply not be enough to support the transit system we would like to provide. This shortfall is not new, and in fact exists right now, as shown by the 2022 budget figures on the slide. The difference is that right now, the service boards are relying on federal relief funding to address that shortfall. In summary, by 2026, we are expecting about $3.2 billion of revenue, fares and funding, to support a projected expense level of $3.9 billion. That difference of 700 million plus is shared among the 3 service boards. They each expect a significant budget gap. That is a daunting number, almost 20% of our total projected expenses, as shown on the bottom line of the slide. But remember that the development of the strategic plan is a process. And although this is our best guess at the future budget gap at this moment in time, it will change as we move forward and learn more about the recovery. And the good news is that it is still mid-2022, and the balance of the strategic plan process is expected to produce and offer some new and creative solutions which can be implemented in time to resolve this shortfall. Next slide, please. I've presented to you the projections of our baseline scenario. The 10-year group will next work on additional scenarios by changing the assumptions of the model. Those scenarios may change the specific shortfall somewhat or produce a range of potential shortfalls, but the order of magnitude should remain the same. In the 10-year group, we will begin to compile a list of funding ideas, from expansion of existing funding to totally new sources. In addition to funding, initiatives to stimulate ridership return are also a very important avenue for exploration. Thank you for your time. I'll pause here for questions on the 10-year group's projections before I hand it back to Jessica to close this out.
Just one moment. See no raised hands at the moment.
Okay, next slide, please.
All right, thanks, Doug. So as you can see, we have a fantastic team from across all of RTA's departments working on the strategic plan project, along with many of you and our stakeholders and our service board colleagues. As I mentioned earlier, the stakeholder groups will finish their work this month, and then they will write memos with recommended content to us. Over the summer, we're planning several opportunities for the public to engage with this content again. We are going to provide both synchronous activities, like a workshop opportunity for our larger movers stakeholder group that we've talked about before, as well as some asynchronous activities like surveys that people can go and respond to on their own time. These opportunities will be communicated through our regular communication channels, including our blog, newsletter, and social media. We'll be back in August to report to you with additional detail about the outcomes of the stakeholder groups and also all of the input that we received over the summer so that we can get your feedback one more time before we start producing the draft plan itself. So thank you for your time today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about the overall process before we finish up.
Thank you, Jessica, and to all the staff. Are there questions for Jessica or any of the presenters?
Mr. Chairman, I see, oh, I'm sorry, Director Sagar has raised hand.
Hi, Doctor. Good morning.
Good morning. At the risk of being a little bit too syrupy here, I want to commend the staff and all the associated members who have been involved in this planning process. Strategic planning is a daunting task at best, and I think the staff has outlined an incredibly thorough, very comprehensive and detailed approach, and I think that we need to just give them a vote of thanks and support for their absolutely exceptional work to date. And I am absolutely confident that the final report that's going to come out is going to place our entity, as well as all the service boards, in a very solid place as we look to the future. So I just want to say thanks and kudos to everyone that's involved in this extensive and high quality project. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Sagar, very much. Obviously, some of us lay in bed at night thinking how we close that 2026 projected number, and always worry about how we improve the 70% ridership number that we were given today. But this is a process where if any of the board members have thoughts or comments, please talk to Leanne, talk to Jessica, talk to the appropriate sub-staffer for the different subgroups that are out there. Again, I echo Dr. Sager's comments. Strategic planning is very difficult, and you've done a great job.
Thank you so much to both of you. We look forward to being back in August.
Thank you. All right, 6C is next, and that's a report on the monthly financial results for 2022. B, good morning.
Good morning. This is Rta Hickey. I am so impressed with the work of all the staff as well. I was just chatting up a couple of my people, but it's progressing so well and they've done so much work on it. So I'm just really pleased with what's going on with the reporting out, and I'm very engaged in it as well. But anyway, thank you. On to my topic. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is Rta Hickey, the Chief Financial Officer. Today, I will provide you with a brief summary of the Service Board results and relief funding drawdowns through April, followed by a discussion of our focus area for this month, which is recovery ratios. Next slide, please. First, a quick look at the Service Board operating deficits through April. We are now comparing to the amended 2022 operating budgets adopted by the board last month. As a reminder, operating deficit is defined as the difference between operating expense and operating revenue and is the primary metric for the quarterly results certifications. Each service board continues to show favorable variances from their budgeted operating deficits driven by good expense performance, particularly with the PACE Suburban Service results. Next slide, please. Our other monthly update is on the status of existing federal relief funding. The service boards drew in excess of $100 million since last month's results. And as a region, we have now drawn down almost 40% of the $3.5 billion total. As was stated in the previous agenda item, relief funding is still expected to last into the 2025 budget year. Next slide, please. Our focus area for this month is recovery ratios, which measure the amount of operating expense covered or recovered by operating revenue. The philosophy behind having a required recovery ratio is that increasing operating expenses should be supported by proportionately increasing operating revenue in the form of higher ridership and/or fare increases. In this table, we compare the calculation of the three main recovery ratios used by the RTA and service board staffs. In the first column is the simplest and easiest to understand, the fare revenue recovery ratio, which includes only passenger fare and pass revenue. That totals $437 million in our 2022 budget, which amounts to 14% of the $3.1 billion of budget operating expenses, excluding debt service and some other regional expenses. In the middle column, the all revenue recovery ratio adds on the reduced fare reimbursement from the state and other ancillary revenue from advertising, lease of space, etc. This results in a slightly higher recovery ratio of almost 18%. Both the fare revenue and the all revenue recovery ratios include ADA paratransit, and both are down sharply from their pre-COVID levels due to the lower ridership on the system. Finally, we have the statutory recovery ratio as defined by the RTA Act. The Act allows for significant adjustments, specifically the inclusion of RTA agency revenue and in-kind revenue totaling $41 million. Also shown in red, expense exclusions for items such as pension obligation bonds, POBs, debt service, security expense, depreciation, and expense for certain services, which total more than $400 million. ADA paratransit revenue and expenses are also excluded from the statutory recovery ratio, but federal relief funding totaling more than $600 million has been authorized by the RTA board to be included in the calculation to the extent that it replaces lost fare revenue. So you can see that the statutory recovery ratio is elevated to 45% by some rather large mathematical adjustments, especially right now with the inclusion of the relief funding. With last month's budget adjustment, the region was budgeted below the 50% statutory requirement for the first time. Let's go to the next slide for a little more on that. Recovery ratio relief was provided by Public Act 102-0678, which amended the RTA Act in December. In addition to allowing the region to budget below 50%, it also waived the financial penalty for failing to achieve the 50% actual recovery ratio at year end. That aspect is important for our 2021 financial statement, which you will hear about in the audit agenda item later in the meeting. The temporary relief currently extends through RTA fiscal year 2023. An extension for the 2024 and possibly 2025 may be required if more permanent recovery ratio relief is not implemented in the meantime. Next slide, please. To give the board some sense of how other regions perform on recovery ratios, here is a chart from the 2019 regional peer review produced by RTA's Performance Measurement Group. These are, of course, pre-COVID results, and for our peer comparisons, we use NTD data and the simplest recovery ratio, including fair and past revenue only. You can see that the RTA region at 37.6% had a relatively high fair revenue recovery ratio among peers for that time period. Recall that 2 slides ago, I showed that our budgeted 2022 fair revenue recovery ratio has decreased to 14%. So COVID-related ridership losses have greatly impacted these levels across the board. A portion of the strategic plan effort will examine the RTA recovery ratio and attempt to answer some questions. In light of the substantial loss of fair revenue, it is very likely that permanent changes to the 50% recovery ratio requirement will be necessary in the near future. Should the current recovery ratio simply be lowered? Should the current statutory calculation be made more transparent by instead utilizing the fair revenue or all revenue recovery ratio without any of the complicated adjustments? Should there be consideration of eliminating the recovery ratio requirement altogether and instead establish a balanced budget criteria? Of course, any changes to the recovery ratio requirement would require amending the RTA Act and would need to be part of a larger comprehensive solution around resolving the structural operating funding deficit Doug spoke about earlier. Next slide, please. I will close with an update of our goal of providing more financial topics of interest for the board this year. We can now check recovery ratios off the list. Upcoming focus areas for the summer will include an in-depth look at the RTA sales tax and how that public funding contributes to the system's net results. That concludes my presentation. Back to you, Mr. Chairman, for any questions the board may have. Thank you.
Thank you, B, very much, as always. Are there questions, comments for B?
1 moment, Mr. Chairman. I see no raised hands.
Just one comment from me, both to you, Jeremy, Leanne, B. We probably need a good survey, and I think APTA will probably have it, of what are the ratio requirements of other major systems, Philly, Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles. But, as we contemplate B's questions to us on what we're going to do in the future on recovery ratios, we ought to have a pretty good handle on what other of the legacy or major systems do. So if you can start getting that research put together, that would be helpful. Let's go on to item 7A, and they are ordinances authorizing an amendment to the 2022 to 2026 capital program and funding changes for CTA, Metra, and PACE ICE funding projects. Tatiana Saunders will brief the board, but before we do that, I want to congratulate and thank Tatiana. She's informed us that she wishes to retire from the RTA at the end of July. She's been at our agency for more than 13 years and has just played an integral role in capital programming work. She is a true professional. Your work, Tatiana, has been so helpful to the board and the staff and the service boards, and I can't thank you enough for your years of service, and we sure wish you well, and don't be a stranger to us. And if you read or see things that you think we ought to know about, or you have some thoughts, please contact us. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for the kind word and good wishes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm Tatiana Sanders, Division Manager of Capital Programs. And today we are requesting your approval of the amendment to our 5-year capital program and the budget changes to some ICE-funded projects for all 3 service boards. Next slide, please. CTA's June amendment includes both funding changes and project changes. Their 5-year capital program has increased by 40 million. The amendment programs 153 million in projects, which include 40 million in revenue just mentioned, and 113 million in projects to match the increased revenue from federal formula funds approved by the board in May. I'll highlight some of the projects CTA is adding to the program. CTA is adding 35 million of infrastructure investments in Jobs Act funding to advance their priority project, All Stations Accessible program. Funding will contribute to design services and elevator replacement. And the elevator replacement program will help rehabilitate or replace 155 existing passenger elevators that are dispersed at 86 stations along the CTA rail system, reducing the backlog of elevator rehabilitation and replacement needs, and will bring them into a state of good repair. Another major priority project being advanced due to the additional funding is the electric bus infrastructure program, with 15 million being used to plan for electrification system-wide. The work will generally involve significant electrical upgrades, installation of charging infrastructure, and general updates to the facilities to support the conversion of an electric fleet. Next slide, please. Similar to CTA, Metra's June amendment also involves project changes and funding changes. Their 5-year capital program has increased by 10 million. The amendment programs 76 million in projects, which include 10 million in new revenue as mentioned, and 66 million in projects to match the increased revenue from federal formula funds approved by the board in May. I'll highlight some of the projects Metra is adding to the program. Metra is allocating 15 million in infrastructure investment in Jobs Act funds to invest in zero-emission train sets, which is part of Metra's fleet modernization priority project. This multi-year, multi-phase project will acquire battery electric train sets, and Metra will be the first passenger rail transit agency to purchase and operate self-propelled train sets that will not require the construction and maintenance of wayside power. The new locomotives will significantly reduce the agency's greenhouse gas footprint, more than 30 tons of nitrogen oxide per year per locomotive, and improve regional air quality as a result. Metra is also adding 3 million in Rebuild Illinois bond funds for the 95th Street Station Chicago State University TSU project, which is part of Metra's Rail Station Improvement Priority Project. Improvements to the station include installation of warming shelters, adding elevators, and other platform amenities. This project is being done in collaboration with TSU and will provide more equitable transportation for the university and community as a whole, and also will provide improved accessibility by adding elevators and accessible station entrances. Next slide, please. PACE's June amendment involves project changes and funding changes as well. the 5-year capital program has increased by 3 million. The amendment programs 18 million in projects, which includes 3 million in new revenue, as just mentioned, and 15 million in projects to match the increased revenue from federal formula funds approved by the board in May. Let's highlight some of the PACE projects. PACE is programming 6 million from the Infrastructure Investment in Jobs Act toward the Harvey Transportation Center Improvement Project, which is part of the Improved Passenger Facility Priority Project. This project is designed to better integrate Metra and PACE service at one of PACE's busiest transportation centers. In the collaborative effort, PACE, Metra, IDOT, and the city of Harvey are working together to move the bus facility closer to the Metra facility and rehab both the Metra station as well as build a new PACE bus facility. This project will deliver more equitable transit service to the region. PACE continues to focus on one of their priority projects, charging infrastructure for electrification of their system. This includes programming 10 million of federal funding to North Division garage improvements and will focus on preparing the garage to offer electric bus service in the coming years. PACE has already budgeted 2022 federal funds to purchase 6 route electric buses that will operate out of the North Division garage in Waukegan. Next slide, please. The overall 5-year capital program is increasing by 53 million. Details of all revenue and project changes can be found in the memo, Schedule 2A and Schedule 2B in your board packet, as well as in RTEMS. Next slide, please. This second ordinance adjusts the annual estimate of ICE funding previously approved by the board to the actual ICE funding based on sales tax receipt and authorizes related changes to the funding. It also authorizes changes to certain project budgets. This impacts ICE funding ranging from the years 2015 to 2021. Details of these changes can be found in the board memo. Next slide, please. Staff requests adoption of 2 ordinances, approval of the amendment to the 2022-2026 capital program, and approval of budget changes to the ICE program. RTA staff have reviewed these requests and found them to be justified as outlined in the ordinance request memo. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we are seeking your approval of these 2 ordinances.
Thank you, Tatiana. Any questions on 7A?
Director Carey has a raised hand, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Director Carey. Good morning, Pat.
Thank you, Tatiana. I have a comment and a question. The comment is I am pleased to see that each of the 3 service boards are prioritizing projects that move them forward on the electrification of their systems. That's what we've been talking about for a while now, and it's great to see some progress there. My question is about, there's a mention in the memo that CTA plans to increase the amount of debt they're issuing in the out years of this planning period, increasing their overall bond repayment cost by about 43 million over that period. I'm just curious what prompted them to increase the amount of debt. I mean, was it debt they were always going to issue and they're increasing the timing of it?
They're restructuring debt and also increasing debt, unfortunately. The RTA embarked on the study to evaluate CTA's, in not only CTA's, just to evaluate our debt service. And we will have more information to you in the future. But at this time, we don't know much of CTAs, unfortunately, CTAs debt service decisions why they do it, but we will inquire more information and report to you.
Okay, thank you. We've talked about the issuance of debt CTA a couple times in the past, so I was curious. Thank you. I will wait to hear.
Thank you. Great question, and we will stay on that. How about a motion or a second if there are no other questions? And Tatiana, again, thank you, congratulations, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
How about a motion and a second here on 7A?
We have a motion by Director Ross.
Thank you, JD.
And a second by Director Groven.
Thank you, Christopher, Chris. All right, with that, Mr. Secretary, please take a roll call.
Director Indelsia.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Aye.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Gadding.
Aye.
Director Gorman. Director Gorman.
Oh, sorry, unmuted. Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Aye.
Director Kotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Yes.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Yes.
14 ayes.
Thank you. And 7A is approved. The next two items will be covered in one presentation, but we'll have separate votes. Item 7B is an ordinance approving the combining financial report and certifying compliance with the RTA Act recovery ratio requirement for 2021. And item 7C is an ordinance approving and releasing the RTA 2021 annual comprehensive financial report. And John Yu is going to introduce, I think, the RSM auditors also to the board. John, is this your segment here?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm John Yu and the controller here at the RTA. Today, I will be going over two items, 7B and 7C on the agenda regarding the proposed ordinances in approving RTA's 2021 financial statements. The first ordinance approves the 2021 special purpose combining financial report. This report represents a compilation of the financial result of the RTA and the Duty Service Board. The RTA Act requires this report to be implemented in order to provide a holistic picture of the overall financial statement of the RTA. Our external auditors do not audit these financial statements, but they do review this report. Each service force auditor have issued unmodified, which is clean opinion for their 2020 financial statements. The second ordinance approves the 2021 annual comprehensive financial report. This report covers only the RTA reporting entity. The RTA Act and our board covenants requires an audit of the annual comprehensive financial report. Today, we are joined by the representative of our auditing firm, RSM, to cover the topic required by the auditing standard. Now, I would like to turn it over to our external auditor. Bill Sarb is the partner with the RSM and the lead partner on the RTA audit. RSM is the fifth largest CPA firm in the nation and has a specialty in serving government entity like the RTA. Bill Sarb has over 15 years of experience performing audits over government entities and has a significant experience with all aspects of government operations. Bill?
Thanks, John. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. All right, John, can you, next slide, please? We'll go ahead and get started in our presentation. As John mentioned, I am a partner with RSM. My name is Bill Sarb. I'm the lead partner over the entire RTA audit. I have several people here with me today. First and foremost, Maria Prado. Maria Prado is a partner with Prado and Renteria, who is our DBE firm partner, and she's been working with us for a number of years. Welcome, Maria. You'll hear from her a little later. In addition, Katie Rodriguez is a manager with RSM, who's been working on the RTA audit for a few years. This year, she's focused her efforts on the pension plan audit, the annual comprehensive financial report, and has also assisted with the special purpose combining report. Honorable mention, Ronnie Christopher, who could not be with us today, is another manager with the firm. She was the manager on the JSAF audit and is assisting with the federal compliance audits of the RTA. Next slide, please. As everyone knows, we are still navigating the pandemic, and we're all doing this remotely, as you guys have gotten used to from the board's perspective. The remote audits process has been running seamlessly for the last 3 years. Similar to the prior years, given the pandemic, we performed the majority of our procedures remotely in 2021, and we did so by working with the RTA management, our team, as well as our DBE partner firm, Rta and Renteria. We are on track to meet the 12% DBE requirement associated with our audit contract, and the assistance provided by Rta and Renteria included assisting us with auditing the federal compliance or single audit, the RTA pension plan audit, and the overall financial statement audit. In the future, assistance is expected to be provided by Rta and Renteria on the 401k audit, which will commence this fall. Next slide, please. The external audit process is a significant one. It's a significant undertaking which takes strong communication on both sides or all sides. RSM's team and Rta and Renteria's team worked with management to perform our procedures, and we relied heavily on our audit tools and technology to achieve the ultimate result. Next slide, please. To remind everyone the scope of services. As mentioned several times, the annual comprehensive financial report is the RTA's financial information. That is our main audit and encompasses most of the information on this slide. The special purpose combining financial report is the statutory basis compilation of the RTA combined with the 3 service boards. The RTA Joint Self-Insurance Fund, or JSAF, is a standalone financial statement audit, and the RTA Metra and PACE pension plan audit includes both the audit of the pension plan's financial statements as well as an audit over an allocation schedule done in accordance with GASB statement number 68. Numbers are important for accountants. Apologies for that. In addition to all of those financial statement audits, we also perform the federal compliance or single audit under the uniform guidance provided by the federal government. New this year to us is the RTA 401k plan audit. RTA Metra and PACE employees participate in a 401k plan. The audit was previously administered by PACE, but for fiscal year 2021 and forward, it has been added to the scope of the RTA audit contract. The audit will be performed in the fall of 2022, and the results of that audit will be reported to the 401k plan committee. Next slide, please. The annual comprehensive financial report. Want to get into some of the financial highlights. First, I'd like to congratulate the RTA management and the entity as a whole, as they were awarded the GFOA Certificate for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 27th consecutive year. And this report, or the 2021 report, will be submitted to hopefully achieve that goal for the 28th year. Cash flows relating to the state of Illinois have remained relatively consistent and have even improved for some of the sales tax, PTF, as well as ASA, AFA revenues. The overall net position or deficit of the RTA remained relatively consistent with the prior year. The overall deficit is driven by the bonded debt of the RTA, for which the proceeds were passed to the service boards for various capital projects and fundings. Relating to the general fund, the regional operating budget was amended in May of 2021 due to unanticipated increases in sales tax receipts, which has been mentioned previously throughout today's presentations and meeting. In addition, associated PTF match and sales tax receipts continued to increase throughout the year, even after the amendment last May. Overall, receipts were $36.2 million higher than even the amended budget last year, which is good news overall, as mentioned previously by both Doug and B. Next slide, please. Getting a little bit into the special purpose combining report. As John mentioned, this report is required to be submitted to the state by statute, and this report combines the information of the RTA with the 3 service boards to get an overall picture of the region. Each of the service boards receives an independent audit and submits their audited statements to the RTA. Each service board also certifies their final recovery ratio to the RTA. For fiscal year 2021, the regional recovery ratio did not meet the 50% statutory requirement. Higher than anticipated sales tax funding, which limited the amount of federal relief funding that the service board could requisition, is largely part of the reason. The region-wide recovery ratio was just over 40%, which again, did not meet the 50% requirement. However, financial penalty has been waived by Public Act 10206-1020678, as mentioned by B, which provides some relief on the region-wide recovery ratio through fiscal year 23. The ADA paratransit recovery ratio of 10.6% for the year did achieve the statutory requirement of 10%. Next slide, please. Additional financial statement audits, the standalone joint self-insurance fund. Net position for the fund was $20.1 million for fiscal year 21, which was relatively stable. The RTA distributed $7 million from the general fund during the year, and insurance premiums for the year were $9.2 million. The RTA Metra and PACE pension plan. As a reminder, this plan includes the non-union employees of RTA, Metra, and PACE. And there were combined employer contributions from those employers of $23.8 million made during fiscal year 21. The overall markets were very positive for the year. The plan reported net investment income of just over $40 million, or a rate of return of just over 12% on plan assets. The market funded ratio for the plan was 82.2%. This differs slightly from the actuarial funded ratio, which I believe is around 72%, due to the actuaries smoothing out investment returns over a 5-year period. Next slide, please. It is important to remind everyone the responsibilities of the external auditor. These responsibilities have been defined or described in our arrangement letter provided to management and dated March 28, 2022. In performing our procedures, we identified and assessed the risks of material misstatement over the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, and we designed our audit to respond to those risks. We gained or obtained an understanding of the internal control relevant to the audit and designed our procedures around that. It's also important to remind everyone, while we reviewed the control processes, we are not, or we have not, or will not express an opinion on the effectiveness of the RTA's internal control. We performed an evaluation of the appropriateness of the accounting policies used and the reasonableness of any estimates used by management. And we concluded, based on the evidence obtained, whether or not there are conditions or events that raised doubt about the RTA's ability to continue as a going concern. Next slide, please. I bring a lot of those responsibilities up because of some of the changes in the auditing standards this year. Our auditor's opinion, which is roughly 2 to 3 pages included in the annual comprehensive financial report, is going to look a little bit different in 2021 than it has in the past. That is due to the implementation of the Financial Reporting Suite Standards, or SAS 134 through 140, which were issued by the AICPA a few years ago and have become required starting with December 31, 2021. There were 6 total new standards. I've only included 4 here, as several are not necessarily applicable to the overall RTA. Just want to highlight some of these changes. I'm not going to go through them all in detail, but ultimately what happened with the opinion is it's changed format and presentation and also changed some information. So as far as format, the big change is the opinion paragraph, which used to be near the end or middle, depending on some of the information provided in an audit, has been moved to the first thing. Some may say that's the most important thing, so the AICPA has decided to make that the first thing presented. In addition, there's been updates to both management's and auditor's responsibility included in the opinion. The main change or most important new item that was not previously reported on was information about going concern, which in the past was always only brought up if it existed or if there were concerns, and now is going to be included in all opinions moving forward, that an assessment was performed and details would be provided if an issue existed. I am happy to report that we have no overall concerns regarding the RTA's ability to continue doing operations for the next 12 months. Next slide, please. All right, on to the results. We anticipate or have issued an unmodified clean opinion over the RTA's financial statements. We performed and issued the JSAF audit in March as required by statute, and we anticipate the issuance of a clean, unmodified opinion over the pension plan and the annual comprehensive report in the coming days. We did not identify any material weaknesses when performing our audit procedures. With regards to some of the risks identified when performing our audit, we did not identify any significant or material exceptions around those risks. A summary of those risks include management override of controls, fraudulent revenue recognition, the actuarial valuation specific to the net pension liability, and the valuation or fair value of investments. Next slide, please. For the federal compliance audit, I will pass over to Maria Prado, who will provide you with an update on our procedures there. Maria? Maria, you may be on mute. Are you still with us? Is anyone hearing Maria?
Oh, nope.
Bill, go ahead. If she joins us, that's
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
No problem. I see her. I see she's with us. I know she was on earlier. Okay. For the federal compliance audit or the single audit, the RTA reported total federal expenditures of $28.9 million for fiscal year 2021. For federal programs, there were $24.9 million related to the federal transits cluster, of which $22.6 was passed through this program, which related to CARES Act funding that was expended in 2021. In addition, $3.9 million related to the transit services programs cluster, and the remaining amounts were spread across other federal programs which are consistent with prior years. Based on the results of the expenditures in 2021, we determined that both of the clusters mentioned above were major programs and would need to be detail tested. To date, we have performed detailed procedures over both programs, and we have not identified any instances of noncompliance. Next slide, please. Moving forward, accounting standards that are coming here in the near future. GASB statement number 98 is actually due and ready to be implemented immediately. This was issued several months ago and is the GASB's response to the renaming of the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or the ACFR. Upcoming future standards, which will have a significant impact on the government entities, some more so than others, include GASB Statement number 87, the Leasing Standard. This one has been out there for a number of years and been talked about. We anticipate this one having a little bit more of an impact on the service boards than the RTA as a whole, but we will assess it once it comes due in fiscal year 2022. GASB Statement number 93 is the replacement of interbank offered rates. This is the GASB's response to the pending elimination of LIBOR. GASB Statement number 99, skipping ahead a little bit, includes the response to the overall extension of LIBOR, which I believe extended past December 31, 2021, and is the GASB's response to that, as well as a few other ancillary items. GASB Statement number 96, subscription-based information technology arrangements, is due in fiscal year 2023. This is one that we need to monitor with the RTA and assess based on the implementation of the new ERP program. There may be something we need to do with this in the near future. And then GASB Statement number 97. This is a response to the reporting of 457 plans associated with governmental entities. This response does not or will not necessarily require that a 457 plan be audited or brought into the reporting entity, but it does require that an assessment on whether or not it needs to be brought in be performed. And then if it does need to be brought in, then an audit would need to occur. So it's not necessarily going to change anything for the RTA, but it is going to require that we look into it. And the next effective date is for fiscal year 2022. So that'll be something that's on deck here in the near future. Next slide, please. Want to get into the required communications. As we performed our audit, we did not identify any significant or unusual transactions or significant accounting policies that were controversial or lacked authoritative guidance. We did not identify any audit adjustments to the original trial balance. There are no uncorrected misstatements or past adjustments to date. Under GAAP, in certain circumstances, management may elect alternative accounting practices. In our view, in such circumstances, management has selected the preferred practice. We did not identify or are not aware of any alternative treatments within GAAP that management is using. Next slide, please. We did not encounter any significant disagreements or issues during the audit that came up with management, and we did not have any significant difficulties in performing our audit. Finally, we are not aware of management having any consultations with other accountants or auditors about the financial information. As we wrap up and issue our audits, we will include a formal board report, which will include copies of any written communications between our firm and management. A summary of those communications include the arrangement letter and the management representation letter. Next slide, please. In conclusion, I want to thank everyone for their assistance and cooperation, namely the finance team, B, John, Celestine, and the rest, as we performed our procedures and updated our understanding of the controls in place. It was essential that the communication on both sides be regular and using technology to get through everything we needed to get through. Just want to thank everyone. This concludes our presentation, and we are happy to address any questions the directors may have.
Thank you, Bill, very much. Any questions of Bill, his team, John?
One moment, Mr. Chairman. No raised hands. Oh, I'm sorry. Director Colson has a raised hand.
Yeah, I just want to say this is an important part of what we do to supervise these audits. And it can be complex and arduous to wander through, but a lot of work went into this. And the bottom line that I think we need to deal with is this is a clean opinion. There are no problems. And so I thank the whole audit team. A great deal of effort and work went into this result.
Thank you, Director.
Amen, Bill. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, should we take the roll call on 7B now, or should we go on to item 7C and then come back and do a roll call on 7B and 7C?
Mr. Chairman, I think the presentation covered both items, so I think we can take 2 consecutive roll calls.
Okay, super. All right, well, let's do, how about a motion and a second on item 7B?
We have a motion by Director Carey, second by Director Gavin.
With that, if there's no questions or comments, please take a roll call.
Director Indalcio.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Aye.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Gavin.
Aye.
Director Gorman.
Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Yes.
Director Cotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Aye.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Yes.
14 ayes.
But I see that these are together. And let's do a motion and a second on item 7C, if we may. That one's on the annual comprehensive financial report.
A motion by Director Sager, a second by Director Ross.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Secretary, please take the roll call on 7C.
Director Indalcio.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Yes.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Gorman.
Aye.
Director Gavin.
Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Yes.
Director Cotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Yes.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Yes.
14 ayes.
Thank you. And 7C is approved. Item 7D is an ordinance authorizing a contract amendment for print fulfillment services. Tina Smith is available to answer any questions if there are any from the board. If not, how about a motion and a second to approve?
It looks like we have a motion from Director Holt, a second from Director Canty.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Secretary, please take a roll call.
Director Indalcio.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Yes.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Gavin.
Aye.
Director Gorman.
Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Yes.
Director Cotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Yes.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Aye.
14 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And that is so approved. Item 7E is an ordinance authorizing a contract for printing and mailing RTA maps. Jill Leary is available to answer questions if there are any from the board. If there aren't any, I'll entertain a motion in a second.
So we have a motion from Director Cotel, a second from Director Carey.
Thank you. And let's take a roll call on that one, Mr. Secretary.
Director Indalcio.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Aye.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Gavin.
Aye.
Director Gorman.
Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Aye.
Director Cotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Yes.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Aye.
14 ayes.
Thank you. And that is approved. Item 7F is an ordinance authorizing a contract amendment for energy management and data hosting. Jerry Tambali is around if there are questions. If not, a motion and a second would be appreciated on this one.
Motion by Director Groven, a second by Director Ross.
Thank you. How about a roll call on 7F?
Director Indalcio.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Aye.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Gavin.
Aye.
Director Gorman.
Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Aye.
Director Cotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Yes.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Aye.
14 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And that is so approved. The last one is item 7G, and that's the approval of travel expense reimbursements. If there aren't any questions or comments, how about a motion and a second on that one?
Motion by Director Carey, a second by Director Gavin.
Thank you. With that, how about a roll call on that one?
Director Indalcio.
Aye.
Director Canty.
Aye.
Director Carey.
Aye.
Director Colson.
Aye.
Director Fuentes. Director Gavin.
Aye.
Director Gorman.
Aye.
Director Groven.
Aye.
Director Holt.
Aye.
Director Cotel.
Aye.
Director Lewis.
Aye.
Director Ross.
Yes.
Director Sager.
Yes.
Chairman Dillard.
Aye.
14 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And 7G is approved. Item 8 is new business. Are there any new any items to be raised under this particular item? It's for discussion only. Any new business come before the board?
I see no raised hands at the moment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. If not, I want to remind the board that the next meeting will be August 18th at 9 a.m. And a quick reminder to the RTA board to sign into our board trading meeting. There's an invite.
Mr. Chairman, I believe you went on mute there.
Yeah, we lost the dulcet strains of his voice.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Wait, oh, okay. I think we lost the last part there.
Okay. Just Nadine, you want to say anything, or do we adjourn and go right to our board training? You all have been sent a separate invite for your board training. Nadine, anything we need to know other than we'll take about a 3 or 4 minute break and go into our board of directors training once we adjourn?
It's on Teams, and please and thank you.
Thank you. Okay. With that, if there's no further business to come before the board, before the public session of the board of directors, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
A motion by Director Holt, a second by Director Gavin.
And oral roll call will be okay on this one. All those in favor say aye. To adjourn.
Aye.
Aye. Nay. And we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Be well, everyone.